Have you ever heard the saying, too clever by half? It means trying to be so smart that you end up outsmarting yourself. Well, there's a classic story that illustrates this perfectly. And it's all about a merchant and his trusty, but a little too cunning, donkey. Our story begins on a sunny day. A merchant is heading home from the seashore. His donkey is laden with a heavy load of salt, packed tightly into big sacks. They've walked this path many times before. Part of their journey involves crossing a shallow river, a familiar ford they've navigated countless times without any trouble. But this time, something different happens. As they're about halfway across the river, the donkey's hoof slips on a mossy stone. Splash! He tumbles into the cool water. The merchant, startled, rushes to help. It takes a bit of effort, pulling and coaxing, but finally, he gets the donkey back on its feet. As the donkey stands up, shaking water from its ears, it feels different, lighter, much lighter. While they were in the water, a good portion of the salt dissolved and washed away. The heavy burden was suddenly manageable. The rest of the journey home was a breeze for the donkey. He trotted along happily, feeling incredibly clever about his accidental discovery. The very next day, the merchant needed another load of salt. So, back to the seashore they went. The donkey was loaded up again, the weight just as heavy as the day before. As they started the journey home, the donkey had a brilliant idea. He remembered the river, the fall, and the wonderful, magical lightning of his load. He thought to himself, why carry all this heavy salt when I know a trick to get rid of it? When they reached the familiar ford, the donkey put his plan into action. Instead of walking carefully, he deliberately stumbled. With a dramatic splash, he let himself fall right into the middle of the river. He lay there for a moment, letting the water work its magic, just as it had before. The merchant, seeing this happen a second time, started to get suspicious. But he helped the donkey up again, and sure enough, most of the salt had once again dissolved. The donkey felt proud and incredibly smart, trotting home with his lightened burden, but the merchant was no fool. He was angry. He realized the donkey wasn't just clumsy. He was being deliberately lazy and deceitful. All right, the merchant thought. If you want to play games, we can play games. He didn't say a word to the donkey. He just turned them both around and marched them straight back to the seashore. The donkey was probably confused, wondering why they were going back. This time, however, the merchant didn't load the donkey with salt. Instead, he filled two huge baskets with something very different. Sponges. They were big, fluffy, and incredibly light. The donkey was thrilled. This load was practically weightless compared to the salt. He thought his master had finally realized he deserved an easier job. He trotted off from the shore, feeling on top of the world. They made their way back towards the river, the donkey practically skipping along with his light load. As they approached the ford, the donkey thought, "This is perfect. I'll do my trick one more time. Even if this load is already light, why not make it even lighter? Or better yet, maybe I can get rid of it completely." So, for the third time as they waded into the river, the donkey purposefully took a tumble. Splash! He went down into the water, expecting the same wonderful result. He stayed there for a good while, letting the water do its thing. But when he finally scrambled back to his feet, something was terribly wrong. The load wasn't lighter. It wasn't gone, it was heavy. Unbelievably, impossibly heavy. The light, fluffy sponges had soaked up the river water, and now they weighed a ton. Each step was a struggle. The donkey could barely lift his feet. The weight was 10 times heavier than the original salt load had ever been. There was no cheerful trotting on the way home this time. The donkey, now utterly miserable and exhausted, had to drag himself forward under the crushing weight of his own clever trick. He learned a very hard lesson that day. What works in one situation might be a complete disaster in another. The same solution doesn't fit every problem. This story is more than just a fable about a silly donkey. It's a powerful reminder for all of us. How often do we find a trick or a shortcut that works once, and then try to apply it to every single situation, expecting the same result? Life is far more complex than that. Circumstances change. What was a brilliant solution yesterday might be a terrible mistake today. Think about it in your own life. Maybe you found a study method that helped you ace one exam, but it doesn't work for a different subject. Or perhaps a communication style that worked with one friend completely fails with another. The donkey's mistake was assuming that the water would always make his burden lighter. He didn't stop to consider what his burden was made of. He was so focused on repeating his past success that he failed to assess the new situation. This is a trap we can all fall into. We get comfortable with our tricks and stop thinking critically. We stop observing, we stop adapting. The merchant, on the other hand, did adapt. He saw the donkey's pattern, understood his thinking, and changed the circumstances to teach him a lesson. He used the donkey's own strategy against him. The moral of the story, the same measures will not suit all circumstances, is a call for flexibility, awareness, and critical thinking. It encourages us to look at each new challenge with fresh eyes, to analyze the specific details, and to choose our actions wisely, rather than blindly repeating what worked before. True intelligence isn't about finding one clever trick. It's about understanding the context and adapting your approach accordingly. So the next time you find yourself facing a problem, take a moment. Don't just reach for the old, familiar solution. Ask yourself, what's different this time? What am I really carrying? Is this salt or is this sponges? Thinking like the merchant, and not the donkey, can save you from carrying a much heavier load in the long run. Thanks for watching, and if you enjoyed this story and its lesson, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more content. See you next time.